Okay.
Right. So let's see, any comments on minutes from last meeting?
Tim made a correction, which I corrected. I misspelled the word.
And Peggy?
Tim, if you could confirm the spelling of your last name. Are you Welsh or are you Welch? The minutes had his name spelled W-E-L-S-H. And I think it's W-E-L-C-H.
Oh, I do that. I probably may have done that.
Yeah, there's several places where he's attributing you a different nationality. I thought you were more Irish. So, you're muted.
You might be locking up a little bit too.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on the minutes? Very well. Motion to accept from Peggy. Second.
Second.
With five of us, you're like, why do we have to just wait a minute? All in favor? Aye.
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 Very well. So minutes pass. Okay. Real quickly, just as we have tenant comments, if we just ask to keep them a little bit short. Good to see a couple folks here. Just want to go ahead and start. Wendy, any comments?
Planning to listen.
Super. Always nice to have you on board. Cindy?
Thank you.
Hey, Scott, just listening today, I think.
No problem. And then is Anna a tenant or someone else?
No, she's management.
Management. Great. Hi, Anna. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Super. Okay. So why don't we go to management report?
Really quick, Amy's trying to get in and she was declined by the host.
Declined? She probably didn't, she was in there before.
Okay.
All right, tell her to try again.
Can you try again? All right, let me see. Okay, thanks. So she's pending arrival. Anna, I was in earlier. Yeah, you know.
I saw her in earlier. I don't know why I don't see her now.
Anna? I see.
Yes.
Amy. Okay, so in the meantime, while Amy's getting ready to join us, Anna, would you mind running through some of the items that you work on? And go to
Sure. On the AR report, in Millport, we have a few tenants. Well, actually not a few, quite a lot that has paid their rent on time and has credits. And on phase 1, the same as well. A lot of people who have credits. And phase 2 is the only one that we have a couple of stragglers that pay their rent a little late, and we have a couple that are in legal, and 2 that are on payment plans. 3.
Okay, and just sort of talk same thing. It's not letting me in.
I'm trying. I don't see your name on the list.
Okay. I'll try sending her another link.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do an invite.
Okay. Bernie sending invite. Okay. And to piggyback off of that a little bit that I can talk about is we're also been working with DSS. And I know that Anna and Amy have been working on getting some of those retroactive subsidy payments. What has happened is there's been a changing of the guard at DSS, and where they used to have like 5 or 6 people, they have 1. Actually, they have two. One's on maternity leave and another is on vacation. So, and they, what they asked for before is now different what they're asking for now. And they're asking for additional information, and we're trying to get feedback on what happened to the information that we provided you with. So we've been chasing our tails a little bit with that, but I have confidence with this. We can say, listen, it's clearly not us with this stuff. Missing pieces. We've been at this for a while, so please make good and make this whole. So that's a conversation that we're beginning to have. So it's just interesting. We've had units that have passed and they started paying again, but we're like, well, we passed back before. So can you please take care of this? So that's what I know that Amy had and Anna have been working on with DSS. And that would help a lot with some of our, I think it's mill and phase one tenants in particular. So that was just a piggyback off of the AR. And again, waiting for Amy. Anna, I don't know if you want to speak a little bit to the vacants. I did get some summary on a little couple of swaps that we needed to do.
There is just a couple of things that Amy has been working on. Unit 432, we need a scaffold. Off the back of my hand, I think unit 1, the one above Mark DeFulvio. I know it needs a carpet as well. She was able to get a move-in, the young lady from the VAWA. She was able to get that tenant to be moving in, I think, this weekend.
Yep.
And I can't recall on the rest of the units offhand.
Yeah, I think one tenant we had to swap the units just because of they were elderly and felt that they wanted to have something on a more ground level or something along those lines.
She's on the first floor, and
Okay.
it actually passed because the inspector had came and he thought that she was going to be on the second floor because the elevator wasn't working, but she's actually on the first floor, so that passed. So she'll be moving in, I think, this weekend.
Yeah. And then to piggyback off of that comment about the elevator, I received notice that they are waiting for a board, a control panel, and it's on back order. The date that they gave us today was sometime in January. So I told them they needed to do better than that. And I'm waiting for feedback, and I have a call into them to have a conversation about that.
Which building is that in, Anne? Amy or Anna, I guess.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure it's building 2 in Millport phase 1.
Thank you, Anne.
If not knowing anything about how much any of these pieces cost or what it takes, but I mean, if we need to go ahead and if we should be inventorying, a few extra pieces that are not horrifically expensive that may or may not be readily available, we probably ought to think about doing that. Obviously, we don't have a lot of space, and you never know what's going to break. But if there's some things that regularly break that are hard to get, let's consider that at least.
Yeah, and the it seems like the elevator company's favorite word is, oh, that's obsolete. That's there's this one person that used to work on boards, and now that person retired, and it's all proprietary material. So it's a little difficult, but we're going to try to work with them to see what the next best option is for this.
Planned obsolescence stinks. although unplanned obsolescence is even worse.
Right.
All right.
All right, we'll talk a little further about AR in executive session. Any other highlights here from the board report that we ought to be going over? Any comments from board members?
A lot of the things we're still picking away and chewing on and working through. Like, again, the garbage is always an ongoing issue with those that just want to dump and leave things, and trying to get down to the bottom with finding out ways to make that more efficient and cite them and charge them and hold people accountable. I know that we have looking for a time to have a meeting with the town, with I can't remember exactly who it was with. Planet New Canaan.
Yes.
And there's going to be another one scheduled. And then the tree removal, that's something that was happening. I don't remember if there were some people in the back that had some, their risk of some dead limbs falling into neighboring properties. So we wanted to be sure that we trimmed that. And there was 2 other trees that needed to get taken down because they were dead or very sick.
Yeah, that's tomorrow and Friday that work is being done.
Right. And regarding the scaffolding, that's an option, whether we're renting, buying, or contracting. So we had somebody coming down today to take a look at what painting turnovers for the units with the loft space, in terms of getting at least that done by a contractor, or whether it makes sense to rent or buy scaffolding. So going through that value analysis.
Is there any continued discussion of talking to the town to see if tenants would be able to get or want to get a dump pass, a pass at the transfer station where they could take bulk things over?
And
I
wish
think
Amy was able to hop on, because I know that she had discussions with them.
I'm pretty
I just
sure
don't know.
they're able to, as residents of the town.
We
they're
had
able
sent
to.
out a notice about that.
Can I make a statement about that? Robin Bates Mason actually had a meeting with us, and she said she was going to work something where there would be either a free pass or a deeply discounted pass. So far, we haven't heard any further on that.
Okay, I'll check with Robin on that. I'll ask her.
Actually, she's going to have a meeting with us,
Right.
and we'll bring it up again.
This is Wendy, and I was the past couple of years I've been able to get a pass, and it's $45 if you have a Carter. And last year, I mean, I think the garbage company changed hands or something, but I was able to get my pass for this year, and it was $45. So if Ms. Brooks Mason can do something better, but it is possible.
And that might help alleviate
that.
some of the trash issues, some of the bulk, whether bulk hauling but I think anyway, it's worth pursuing to see if people want to do it, and
but the question is,
possibly
will
with
they
social
abide
services.
by it? Will they do it?
Will they do it? Yeah, I go for dropping off food because they have curbside composting there. So
right,
but I'm not having bulk stuff, but I do. And it was so $45 was what I've been paying. So
okay, well,
if it can be less for others, but the whether bulk people want to make that effort is another story.
Well, that's true. You can't make them drink. Also, a question I have is, the last time I drove through the site, none of the exterior signs had been placed by Gunner yet. I know Aziz has been on vacation and they've been covering both properties, but do we have an update on when those will be mounted?
Yes, this week coming, they're going to be doing that.
Oh, thanks, Amy.
Okay.
Any other general issues?
Sorry.
Right.
Amy, did you want to speak to the vacancies and the turnover? Because I know there was a couple changes that you and I were talking about.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so we just okay, so 313 has her key, she's moved on in. 224, we have to make a change of plan. That's not gonna longer be that young lady there, Gail Alvarado. It's gonna be changed over to 412. We're changing her to that unit instead because we have an elevator issue there. 212, we just got past the inspection and was an elevator issue that because the elevator wasn't working, they were failing us in the inspection. So now going forward, they passed us because the apartment's on the first floor. For this, they thought it was on the second floor for some reason. And they passed us. So we just got passed today. So she has her keys and she'll be moving in. 234 is transferring, which is Megan Style. She's going from 225 to 234, which there's no elevator in that building at this time. So she's going to take a little longer in moving her stuff. 432, that is a hell of a disaster with the painting there. We still need the scaffolding. The gentleman came today, Ken, regarding giving us a pricing on that. And I do have an applicant though. It's an actual Section 8 applicant with a voucher. So that would be great once we get that going, once that is completed.
Was there anything special about the painting in there, or was it just it?
Yeah, so the apartment is not all white, it's all black. Yeah, so all the doors are black, all the trimming is black. So now we have to bring this back to normalcy. All the carpets are black, that's staying like that because we're not gonna pay for it's brand new carpeting in there. It's not going nowhere, but everything else has to be painted back to a normal color. So it's going to be priming and painting of this apartment. And then we need a scaffolding because that middle arch, you know, that peak area where I say the foyer area is, as well as up top of foyer area and the living room are, it has a high peak. So that high peak is all black on that wall.
So forgive me this question. This was a tenant painted their apartment black?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I assume that did this person leave through eviction or forced stuff, or did we at least get 30 deposit?
Yep, that's it.
Great.
Yeah, that was the Tiffany Layton case. Thank you.
Wow.
Mhm.
Gift that just keeps on giving. Okay.
Yeah,
you.
unfortunately. Thank you on that. Okay, and then I have 134. I have a applicant for the 2-bedroom. I'm just waiting on the carpets getting approved for the bedrooms. We need a better padding. We're having a lot of complaints with the noise downstairs. So we're gonna get that implemented within the next week or so, I guess. I'm hoping. But other than that, we're on track. The only thing I'm probably on hold with is 224 with the elevator not working in that building. TKE is supposed to be getting this motherboard for us, and they gave us some loungish date of January for us to get that. So we're trying to see what they can do faster, and I don't know if I'm going to pass the next 2 inspections that are going to be coming in that building for Section 8 tenants that already live there because I have no elevators now. And I just saw that they just came up on, those inspections just came up as of last week. I just got the paperwork. They're saying that it's not going to be until the 12th. They're coming to do the inspection.
Out of curiosity in that process, is there anyone we can talk to under the Section 8 stuff? Let's say we don't pass the inspection. Does that just mean they don't pay us the rent?
So
Yeah.
So it's sort of a thing that says it doesn't pass, but I was trying to speak with Lou and see what is the possibilities of what we're capable of doing. The only reason why he allowed the move-in inspection to pass as of today was because of the reasoning that it's a first floor apartment and she would not be needing that elevator. But the other people that currently live here would have the problem of passing the inspection because they need this to utilize the elevators to get in and out of their apartments.
So usually what
although
happens,
we do have stairs.
Yeah, so usually what happens in that case, Scott, is you get an inspection, you get cited, you get a cure period, And after the cure period, if you haven't fixed the issue, you go into abatement, meaning you don't get the Section 8 portion of the rent. You only wind up collecting the tenant portion until you fix whatever the cited issue is.
Okay, so
So one of the
Rob,
things we might be able to do is to beg and plead for a cure period longer than the typical, which I think is 30 days.
I mean, especially if you can show that it's on order and here's the documentation. Now, I understand that logic or reason or anything else doesn't help in these things. It is or it isn't, but okay.
Yeah, I already sent that to them though. Kelson already is fully aware, which is that's the inspection agency for Section 8 tenants. They are fully aware because they had me send the repair work order that was signed by Rick as well. So and I explained to them that it's on hold right now. We're just waiting for a date. They're waiting on the motherboard to be made for us. And then he was like, okay, no problem. I got you, Aim. You're passed. Okay, thank you. But I don't know how well that's going to go off with the other ones. So
Right.
I am going to try to see what we can do.
Got it.
Is that the only vendor that we can use for this elevator?
Well, it's the one that we have our maintenance contract with. And so, something like this falls outside of the regular maintenance contract, so we pay for it separately, but another company isn't likely to come in and work on an elevator that they don't maintain unless we shift it over the maintenance contracts, and we're locked into those, so it gets tricky.
Is it a question of purchasing a motherboard that's that someone might have on a shelf they're not using right now, that our contractor's not getting?
You mean someone who had some stock somewhere?
Yeah.
Some attic stock? Yeah, I mean, we could do something like that, but the contractor, I mean, we obviously wouldn't know where that would be. It would have to be something a contractor would have to search out for us. So, I mean, I think with the complaining that Anne and Amy have been doing to them, hopefully they'll be able to come up with some workaround that shortens that time frame. But it's one of these issues where we're kind of at the mercy of the marketplace right now.
Okay. Any other questions under, wait list? How are we doing on a wait list for other tenants, future tenants?
Okay, our wait list currently is not what we would love it to be. We would rather have a lot of low income tax credit
It's more
applicants.
the one bedroom that we're having still the issue with, because it's a very small window of what it is to be the 60% state or the 60% tax credit limit, and what the rents are and how much you would need to make in order to be able to afford that rent. Because the last thing that, like Amy and Anna had said in the past, it's we want to make sure that we don't set somebody else up to fail. So that 6 months down the road, we're in that pickle where they're having a hard time catch up because the rent and what their income is. So ideally, us building those relationships with outside housing agencies, DSS, and things of that nature, which we're again trying to work on always. It's the one bedrooms that seem to be the toughest.
Thinking toward the future, just in general, and I don't know if there's an answer to this or not, but I mean, at 80%, would that be, do we have significantly more people that just barely don't qualify? Or really, we don't have any, what we're missing is people who have enough income to qualify?
Yeah, I mean, we have plenty of interest. It isn't a lack of interest. It's a lack of qualified applicants. And typically,
And we're getting at both ends.
It's applicants that are on the lower end of the spectrum that are not qualifying, as opposed to the higher. That's more typical.
Yeah, we've had a couple people that have been, all of a sudden, once we start to get their income, they were like, oh, our net is this. We're like, well, we need your gross. And then we find out a little bit more. Oh, you have real estate. Oh, you have all these different investment funds. All that counts in your number.
Yeah, what we're finding right now is the applications that are coming in, because Anna and I have sat down with them. We're looking at them. They're either a RAD tenant, which would be the Section 8 portion area, or they don't qualify. They fall in the middle of it where they don't qualify for RAD, but they don't qualify for low income tax credit either. They're in that medium income of what would be considered anywhere between 50 and 40,000 or 30,000, because the rents for RADs are very low. So they're not qualifying because they're too high for RAD, but they're too low for low income tax credit. That's what we're finding them in. They're in a no man's land right there.
Because I mean, because a question comes up if like in future developments, I mean, should we be doing more 80% versus 60, even though we don't get the same number of points for 830G? Just because, again, the last thing that we'd want, let's say we could do another 100-unit development, which right now we can't, but let's say we could. You know, if you did them all at 60 and you had 40 or 45 more 1-bedrooms, that probably wouldn't go over well, I imagine. I imagine we'd have a lot of difficulty.
Yeah. From a big picture perspective, the advice I would give you is the lower the AMI unit, the easier it is to rent. The higher it is, the more difficult it is to rent. So to give you an example, over at Canaan Parish right now, when the original application went in, it was what's called average income development, meaning it had 80% AMI units, 60% AMI units, and 50% AMI units, so that when you average them out, it was all below 60%. And now now that we've moved everybody in, everybody is below 60%. There's nobody in that 60 to 80% category. And so we're actually trying to change the election so that it's 60% or below, and we eliminate the 80% entirely. Because when you have a non-rent subsidized tax credit unit that's 80% AMI, you need someone who's making over $100,000 to take that unit. And someone in that income category is less likely to take it. They have other options available to them at that level. Whereas if you have a 50% AMI unit or a 30% AMI unit, when you get into different types of tax credit deals, you can rent those all day long.
Now, I've got a spreadsheet in executive session. I'll show you just under financing of these things, and it's fact that there aren't 80 AMI people is frustrating. In fact, there's not 60 is frustrating. And meanwhile, we got to create another 500 of those units.
Yeah.
What could go wrong? Okay.
Everything.
All right. Anything else for open discussion? Very well. Could we get a motion to go to executive session?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Very well. All right, Wendy and Cindy, thank you very much. Please go ahead and drop, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Boy, the Tiffany Loughton thing, you look at her AR and then the fact that she painted her apartment black. It costs $50,000-$60,000. I mean, it doesn't even count the legal. I mean, and we're not going to get any of that back, I assume, right? Or
No, we're in collections.
But I
Send her
mean,
to
We sent it to
collections,
collection.
and we did get $4,300, right, Amy, from
Yeah.
Unite CT?
United CT did give that.
we'll take it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are we
It's Catherine.
at least getting judgment against most of these people, aside from trying to collect? But once they're out, it should be fairly easy to at least get judgment. Then let the judgment sit there. Are we doing that, or?
To the extent that we can, yes.
What does that do, Mike?
Well, the judgment sits there, against their credit rating. Someday, if they're doing better, they'll seek a loan. They'll go for a car, do something. Maybe it pops up, and sometimes they come back looking to settle it and pay you something on the dollar. But I can't recall over the last few years where we had someone come back to us, but we had a judgment offering to, pay us something and release the judgment. But
Right.
All right, well, and out of the rest of the AR elements, and a couple big ones in Millport 2, only one big one, I think, in Millport 1. And anything we should know about those situations or?
Anna, can you talk to Millport 2, please?
Sure, give me 1 second.
While she's pulling that up, I just wanted to, as an aside, let you all know that the development fee from Canaan Parish is being deposited into the Hank. I'm like, I guess you call it operating account, which is 390,000. And then in the next 30 days, the balance of the developer fee is being paid, a number of which I don't know. But whatever that amount is will also be deposited into the Hank account. And, we've been juggling some of the finances lately, but what we're going to do is a lot of those items that you see on the board report list, carpeting, scaffolding, all those things, we're going to kind of retire all of those open items that require cash with some of that money. We're going to so that we can just move on from those issues and make sure that we have units as occupied as possible and not have things like turnover issues or appliance expense or something like that holding that up.
Sounds good. I have a question, Rick.
Yes.
The insurance that they were supposed to do an inspection, any
Yeah.
further word on that?
Yeah, they're coming on Saturday to inspect.
On Saturday?
Yeah, I know. I thought that was odd too. They requested to come on Saturday.
So Rick, it's just a quick thing. If as that money comes in and you settle the accounts up, if you could go ahead and let us know, just sort of, what else is out there, what should we know about, just keep us in the loop as to how that's sort of flushed out and whatever's left. Over the next month or two, if you could also just sort of take a look and see, what do we need to have where in order to be financially stable and sound inside of each of the projects. So, I mean, if we know that we've got some $20,000 or $30,000 or $50,000 worth of deferred maintenance or something, or if we know we have a big project coming up, if you can just let us know, rough idea. And again, that may not be until next budgeting season. I don't know how that works.
Right.
And then,
yeah, what I was just going to say, what I intend to do as far as money is concerned is we do have reserve accounts set up for each of the 3 entities.
Yep.
So we'll take money from the reserve accounts into the operating account to retire these outstanding expenses that we have. And then to the extent that the reserve accounts need to be replenished so that we have, usually the standard is about $1,500 a unit on hand. We'll do that with the money that Hank has in its account. So it may not be a dollar for dollar requirement. In other words, in some of the reserve accounts, I have to look at the balances. We might have more than what we actually need to meet that $1,500 per unit threshold. So let's say we needed to spend $20,000, we may only need to move $10,000 over from the Hank account into the reserve account to get us back to that standard.
okay. And if you look forward, while we have this money here for the very first time in the history of Housing Authority, it would be nice to make sure that we have our developments financially stable. So whatever we need to do that, if that's just getting the reserve, that's great. If we know we have other things, that's, let's just try to get them on the table again through this next budgeting process, so that if other opportunities come up, we know how much we can contribute without, imperiling any of the Mill or Millport projects.
Yeah, I think the best way to do that is going to be to just shore up those reserve accounts with that $1,500 per unit as kind of the baseline. And then if we think, well, maybe we should push it to 2,000 a unit or 2,250 a unit or some number, we can do that to make sure that you've got a robust reserve account for each, and then leave operating as it is. And with the hope that, you know, as we fill the units, as rents go up over time, you know, the operating can sustain itself and we're not touching those reserve accounts and just leaving it well funded.
In addition, could you also do a double check as to how we're managing our cash? Because when you actually have cash, you can earn interest on it.
Yeah.
You got $1,000, who cares? But we now actually have serious money. And so making sure that we've got that earning something around a 3 or 4%, or higher would be good.
Yeah, actually, I'm doing the same thing for Canaan Parish. And we've at the moment, we've moved their cash balance into savings account. It's getting like 2.7%. And then, you know, the question is, should we move it into a short-term CD and get, you know, 5-ish%, move it into a money market fund? Money market funds right now are about 5.25%. So yes, I think the short answer is yes, we'll look at that.
And would we put our reserve funds into money markets
No, I would usually
savings?
I would usually just put it into the savings account.
Okay.
Because we don't write checks directly from the reserve accounts. We transfer into the operating account and then write checks from there. So we only need a savings account for the reserves.
Well, I mean, and again, just take a little look. I mean, for 10 years, 12, 13, for 13 years, you were not rewarded for saving a penny. Now you actually get interest. And so it's worth checking on that extra couple points for, you know, 100 or 200,000 bucks.
Will do.
What other, anything else from management to the board and or board to management? All right, let me just, while I have you on for 1 second, just so one thing I've been trying to do is figure out, you know, how much money we need in order for a development to work out. A question that comes up is sort of like, what's the net monthly rent on a unit on an affordable unit? And so I mean, judging from our budgets, it seems like our operating expenses are roughly half the rent. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
And our average rent, would that be 1,400 a month or 15, or what would you say our average rent is across the development?
Yeah, I would say that that's pretty close in that
Yeah,
range.
15.
Yes.
Call it 15.
Yeah.
All right. So just real quickly, what that means is that if you're doing a development, your cost per unit is roughly 500,000 before land, and that may be light. The 4%.
Going back to recording it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody. And again, this
Good
is a green topic for
Enjoy.
everyone. And any thoughts along the way, feel free to throw them out and you know where we